We recently posted a survey on YouTube asking you guys who would like to see some content on video for music. 96% of you said yes. So in this video, we're going to be looking at 3 ways to create engaging content for your next release. One, a performance style video. 2, a narrative style video. And 3, with no gear at all.
In the early 1990s, I was James's age, and I'd spend many a Saturday night driving into London with some friends and rummaging around the large record shops that were open in central London until midnight. The only way you could consume music back then was by listening to it on the radio or by buying CDs and vinyl, and occasionally a cassette, but making your own for the car was more fun. That was my clubbing. There were many great things about those trips into London, not least of which was the sense of anticipation when you'd got your newly found loot clutched in your arms and you were taking it home, and you couldn't listen to that music until you got home. It was an event, an experience, something tactile. Could you pass me more tea, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, favourite cup too. Nice.
Today, things have changed. Oh, we've got a different jumper on. And those music shops no longer exist, although Mark did find himself in Tower Records in Tokyo recently, reliving his youth. The consumption of music has changed, and while vinyl is still a thing for many collectors, and indeed many artists, for the majority of us, we should be embracing that change and looking for current ways to engage an audience, and that means video. If you're ignoring video or having a half-assed attempt at making one, you're doing it wrong. So let's look at 3 simple ways to make a great video for your next release without spending a fortune. But before we get there, planning.
Oh, I'm already here. Recording a video with no clear idea is like trying to perform any other creative process without inspiration. Very difficult indeed. So firstly, you need to come up with the idea, and the inspiration for that idea is your song. A well put together music video will complement the song perfectly and enhance the experience for the consumer. We're going to look at 3 ways you can create such a video. A performance-oriented classic band video, a narrative-style story-based video, and then we'll wrap up with a really modern style of video that just about anyone can create without the need for even a camera or any expensive editing software. If you have the technology available to you to watch the video you're watching right now, then you can create a video like this. So firstly, let's look at a performance-style video.
This is one we recently edited for a fantastic soul band called The Fantastics. The song is called Take a Shot and was recorded in this very studio back in 2019. The single was released in the summer of 2020, but of course we couldn't get the band together to record a music video for their new single because, well, you know why. So the band shot the footage themselves. In all, we received video from the singer in her house against a white background. The drummer gave us several hilariously named camera angles of him miming along in his home studio. The organ player got a socially distanced friend round to film him with a DSLR. The bassist and guitarist asked their wives to help with some vibey home footage, and the sax player was super creative and picked some wonderful locations around his home city of Hamburg for his part. Raiden, the bass player, gave us a great shot of him plugging his bass in, and we thought that would be a great way to start the video. It would also be great to see the Hammond firing up too, so we called Greg and asked him to film himself switching the organ on with his phone. That made for a great intro to the video. The footage from the drummer looked great, but the walls of the studio were a less than complimentary green, and so we decided to monochrome the footage. Celine's footage looked incredible straight off the bat, as did Raiden's and James's. Mark's footage was incredible, and he'd chosen some great locations, not only for his mimed parts, but for a bit of grooving when he wasn't playing. We loved the symmetry of this shot, taken in an award-winning residential complex in Hamburg, and we thought it would be great to add the video of the band members playing in the windows surrounding him. Similarly, his footage from Hamburg Port was vibey, characterful, and really well framed, allowing for some flexibility and creativity with the edit. We've put a link in the description below so you can watch the full video and see how we assembled a collection of mismatched footage shot all over Europe into a cohesive production that complemented the song. A critical thing when editing this kind of video, and indeed any video, is timing and how you choose where to place your cuts. Cuts placed on the beat can sometimes work with certain genres, but are often boring and predictable, and you'd be much better off letting what's happening in the takes dictate the cut. This could quite easily have ended up looking like a Zoom call, and I think we've seen enough of those over the last few months. Listen to the music, feel where it wants to go, and let the song dictate the edit.
The second style of video we want to talk about is the narrative style, telling a story. After I mastered the latest single release for The Goodbye Look, Sam, the band leader, called me and asked if we'd be interested in putting together a video for it. I asked him what the brief was, and he replied, "There isn't one, do your thing." So we went with the first thing that came into my head, which was, of course, singing vegetables. The first thing to do with a narrative style video is to come up with a story. You've generally only got 3.5 minutes to tell it, so it needs to be fairly simple. After experimenting with animated mouths on several real vegetables, as we did in our recent Audient versus SSL interface shootout, we happened across this fantastic broccoli that we felt looked eerily similar to Sam, and thus the seeds were sown. The narrative of this video is that of a love story between a broccoli and a cauliflower. Growing happily together in an organic farm shop's vegetable patch, our lovers get separated when the broccoli is picked, but then beautifully reunited when the cauliflower is also picked. We decided to enhance the slightly Muppet-inspired vibe of this video by having the farm shop run by Muppet-style monsters rather than humans. The only human in the video is the antagonist, a customer who appears in the farm shop to purchase the vegetables. At a suitable point in the song, because don't forget that this has to complement the song, our antagonist, me, appears with his shopping list and buys the broccoli, thus separating him from the love of his life, the cauliflower. We had then planned for my wife to call when I returned home to tell me that she'd forgotten to add cauliflower to the list, thus bringing them back together at the end of the video, but I decided it would be much more fun if the broccoli found a way to add cauliflower to the list himself, thus reuniting them. We also planned a heartwarming finale for the video, but after sending a preview out to both the band and others that were involved in the production, we decided that there were enough visual clues at the end of the video to let the audience realise themselves what was going to happen. This ended the video in a happy mood, but with a darker side represented by the fact that they do end up sitting together on a chopping board in front of a knife block, with me saying, "Right, let's get the dinner on." The original ending was great fun to make, but we just felt the video was a bit stronger without it. We complemented this video by producing 3 pre-release trailers that told the story of the monsters as the band in the studio, the vegetables on set at the film shoot, and then the furry cast together in the studio attending the video edit with James. You can watch all of these trailers and the video in its entirety by following the links in the description.
Before we move on to part 3, let's talk a little about gear. We don't believe you need to spend a fortune on gear to make a great record, and we don't believe you need to spend a fortune on gear to make a great video. Whilst we did use our 6K Blackmagic cinema camera to record the videos for The Goodbye Look, as we wanted to create that dreamy cinematic look, most of us have a more than capable camera in our pockets these days. What really matters, as with recording audio, is what you're videoing, not what you video it with. The Fantastics video, from a technical standpoint, is very low budget, but it doesn't matter. The graininess of some of the mobile phone footage adds something to the video rather than detracting from it. It's the performance of the band and the flow of the edit that give it its energy, not what cameras were used. But what can you do if you don't have a camera of any kind? Please don't do a lyric video, please. You can use stock footage websites, just as we have for some of the content you're watching now. We didn't go to London for the intro for this video, nor did we fly to Tokyo for a day to capture some shots of the Shibuya Ward. For a quick demonstration, we're going to take this footage of Theresa May running through fields of wheat in her younger years. Is she running towards something glorious, or is she running away from something terrifying? Let's look at 2 very different vibes you could create for your music using the same stock footage. As you can see, the colouring, the speed of the clips and the timing of the cuts can completely change the feel of a video. So let's finish with some top tips. Tip 1. Have a clear idea in your head. See if the song can lead the narrative of the video. Listen closely to the lyrics and try to be creative when it comes to generating ideas. Don't follow the lyrics too closely. Tip 2. If filming is required, decide how it's going to be done. Will you use a mobile phone, DSLR, GoPro or a cinema camera? What will work best? Tip 3. Be creative and be different. If you want singing vegetables, go for it. Don't be afraid to experiment, to stand out and to be different. Being different will get your video noticed more than just, oh, it's another band in a dimly lit tunnel. Wow. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been a helpful insight into how to create some really great video. If there's anything you think we should do a video on that will help you guys and girls out, please leave us a message down in the comments below and we'll see what we can do. Please like and subscribe, do all the clicky magic stuff, and we will see you next time. All right, Fluff? Bye.